The end is near for FIFA 22, and to celebrate a full year of playing this game, I thought I would go through some of my favourite players. So far we have already gone through my favourite defenders and my favourite midfielders. This now leaves us with my favourite attackers. But before we do get into the video, if you're looking to get some very easy coins for FIFA 22, then there is no better place than Mule Factory. Head over there to get yourself some cheap, fast FIFA 22 coins, completely reliable, and if you use Fnatic5 at checkout, you'll also get yourself a 5% discount. Link can be found in the description down below. Getting back into the video, this year I've played with more attackers than any other previous year of Ultimate Team. This is simply because with my playstyle this year I've been very attacking. Not only would I use a 4-3-2-1 formation, which did involve a left forward, a right forward and a striker, but also as my centre mids, there's been quite a few occasions where I've had strikers converted down to centre mids and playing within those positions. So realistically on paper, it's been 5 attackers within just one team. This did lead to a lot of the times when I was streaming, people saying and commenting that I've got way too many attackers in one team, but it did always work out well for me. But it does also mean for this video, it's slightly harder for me to pick the players just because I've played with so many. So in no particular order, here are my favourite attackers. Firstly on my list, we have Messi. He normally still has a really good card in game, but there's so many other players that just have height, physicality, and also high pace, which just seems to do so much better than Messi, despite Messi being higher rated. This year, complete opposite. I actually prefer playing Messi over Ronaldo. That's why Messi's on this list and Ronaldo isn't. For the first half of this year, the overpowered way to shoot was to finesse shot at the edge of the box. And I've had more success with Messi than any other player within the game. It was so easy to be on that right hand side, cut in on his left foot, finesse shot, and more or less it was a goal. If you go back to some of my previous streams, there's moments where I just finesse shot with Messi, put my controller down, hands up, and it's there, it's in the back of the net. And it's purely just because whenever he did get into that position, the chances of him scoring were extremely high, and that's why he's on this list. Next up, we have Mbappe. Mbappe, of course, is going to be there. Anytime I built a team around Messi, it always made sense for me to bring in Mbappe just because they were going to have a strong link. Mbappe is one of those players, as mentioned at the beginning, where I would play as a striker, but in some teams, including the team I have right now, I'm actually playing Mbappe as a centre mid. He gets a weak link to Varane and a strong link to Hakimi, and if you did watch that previous video where I talked about my favourite defenders, you will know that both of them are in there. His nationality and league is perfect to link to other players which have been within my favourite players to use this year. But on top of that, Mbappe is insane to use. He was worth around 1.5 million at the beginning of FIFA 22. That was when I first bought into him, and I don't regret buying into him at that time. Even if now he was still worth 1.5 million, I would say try to buy him. He's still worth the coins. Next up, my favourite and also most hated striker of FIFA 22 is Di Natale. The reason that he is my most hated is because I didn't want to go and spend the amount of coins right at the beginning, which was worth around 1 million coins from him, especially when I did already have Messi, Mbappe and Ronaldo already within my team. But every time I went into a game and my opponent had Di Natale there up front, he would always score. It didn't matter where he was, he would shoot from any area of the pitch and it would always test my goalkeeper or just go into the back of the net. I always said to myself at some point I will buy into Di Natale once he's at a lower price. Fast forward to December, January time, that is where he went from 1 million coins all the way down to around 300-400k, and that's when I bought into him. I put him into a very basic team right at the beginning and Di Natale outshone everyone. I was using a cheap team because I knew Team of the Year was just around the corner and I knew I'd be swapping out a lot of players and I didn't want to waste my coins. But even in this very basic mediocre team, Di Natale was just controlling everything. After Team of the Year, that's when I started to use a lot of my coins to build a much better team around him, and that team ended up being my favorite team of FIFA 22. Next up, I have listed Grincher. Grincher was someone that I never intended to use. This year, I wanted to try out as many other players as possible, just simply because I'm somewhat getting bored with icons. Yes, they're amazing, yes, they're fun to play with, but I have played with a lot of them in previous years. And especially with some of the better, more expensive players, it means that I'm spending those coins on icons to use them despite using them every year, when I could actually be using those coins to try out other special cards that are only available for that year and that year only. So in general, I haven't played with as many icons this year compared to previous years, but the reason Grincher got into this list was because I did manage to pack him. A very lucky pack. After grinding icon swaps, we got Grincher, we threw him into the team immediately, and he's been there ever since. Next up, we have Kieza. Kieza is slightly different to a lot of the other players on this list, because when I first found out about how good his card wasn't actually through his honorable mentions team of the year. It was actually through his normal rare gold. Right at the beginning of FIFA, I struggled to score goals one-on-one. Goalkeepers were just way too good that the only way that I could score was with finesse shots outside of the box. It was such a problem that I got frustrated with my teams very quickly, because the play was amazing, I enjoyed the game, I was doing well, dominating my opponents, but my players just could not put it into the back of the net. I switched round my attack several times early on, and the first player that did well was Kieza. Kieza in a 4-3-2-1 formation on that right hand side. He saved me before we had that first ever major patch, because I managed to win a lot more games, which I probably wouldn't have won without him. Now, because I did spend most of my time trading, it wasn't long for me to build up my coin balance to buy into better players. That's when I did buy into Messi, Mbappe. But when I did get that Di Natale after Team of the Year, I struggled to link him up. Luckily, we had a Team of the Year honorable mention Kieza, which I moved down to a cam and was phenomenal. He was only there for chemistry, as he would give a perfect link to Di Natale, but he ended up being insane, scoring some of the craziest goals that I was able to get, making some of the best runs that I decided to never sell him. Still got him to this day. The next player is Harry Kane. Harry Kane is a weird one in that he's the complete opposite to what we just spoke about with Kieza. I actually had Harry Kane as an investment very early on within FIFA during the web app stage. I kept him into my club because I believed that I would be able to use him for an SBC at some point and that he would increase. It was a 90 rated player going for around about 40,000 coins at a time. But with that, it seemed pointless for me just to have someone like him in my club in the background. So I decided to put him into one of my first ever teams, only for him to not be able to score anything. One-on-one chances after one-on-one chances, and nothing went into the back of the net. That's when I did get frustrated with my team and did swap out to the other one, and we brought in Kieza, as we just previously mentioned. Since then, I've been avoiding Harry Kane like the plague. Anytime he got an inform, a special card, anything, I would say it's not worth it. There's no point going for him. It wasn't until team of the season where I decided maybe this is the time to give him a second chance, used him, absolutely brilliant. No one can push him off the ball, his shots from outside of the box are crazy good, and now his shooting from inside of the box is also a lot better. Of course, goalkeepers have been nerfed heavily since the release, making it a lot easier to score goals, and also I would like to think that I have got a bit better. He's so good, in fact, that I have decided to put him into my main team, and he links up to the very next player, Heung-min Son. Heung-min Son is another player which I just brought in for chemistry reasons to get a link to Harry Kane, whilst also still being someone good. It takes me back to, I believe, FIFA 17, where Heung-min Son had a Player of the Month striker card, and I used to partner him up with Eden Hazard, so there was a bit of nostalgia because I haven't really used him that much since then. But with a high rated team of the season card, it only makes sense that he's going to be phenomenal in game. His dribbling is very nice. Sometimes I bring him down to a center mid with in game just so I can pick up that ball and run with him. Depending on the formation, there's times when he's a center mid, cam, center forward, or even a striker. And he performs brilliantly in every single one of those positions. He's actually currently within my active team alongside Harry Kane and Grincher, making these my front three, which is just deadly. The thing that I really like with Heung-min Son is he never seems to run out of stamina. Whenever I use Grincher, his stamina just completely dies by the time we get to the 50th, 60th minute. I need to substitute him. Sometimes I end up bringing Grincher off, moving Human Son to that right hand side, and then bringing on our very next player. The final player for this video is Vinicius Jr. His base card, being the 80 rated rare gold, is crazy good within game as it is, but since then he's also had another 6 special cards. I first bought Vinicius as an 83 rated player. This was before everyone jumped onto him because of how good he was, and he went from around about 100,000 coins all the way up to around 250 to 300,000 coins just because he was that good. This is just his 83 rated card. Since then his price did drop because he then later got an 85 rated inform, which I bought into immediately, and even though it continuously went down the second he was released, I didn't care because I played hundreds of games with him. One annoying thing with Vinicius, and this would matter if you did care about your coin balance, is that every time you bought into a special card of his, it wasn't long until another special card would come out, so that player's price would continuously go down. And that's also what happened when his team of the group stage card was released. This is his 86 rated left wing. Now at this point when this was released, it was already established that I enjoyed playing with Vinicius. I wouldn't create a team without having Vinicius within it, either being on the bench as a super sub just because he didn't fit within the starting 11 or within the starting 11. So once his 87 rated player of the month came out, I immediately bought into him. Since then, he's been another player which I've used in a variety of different positions, from left wing, right wing, striker, cam, center forward, and even brought him all the way down to a center mid. No matter the position, he's absolutely great, and he's probably one of my most used and favorite players this year. His player of the month card has got around about 200 to 300 games on him, but with the hundreds of games that I put between his 80 rated, his 83 and his 85, which now all of them have been sold on, there's probably around about 1,000 games in total just with Vinicius. Which doesn't sound too crazy in the grand scheme of things, but this year I've been swapping out a lot of players more than what I've done in previous years. So to have Vinicius by himself have 1,000 games is pretty good for me. But anyway guys, those are my favorite attackers within FIFA 22. Let me know in the comment section down below if you've managed to play with any of these and whether or not you enjoyed playing with them yourself. If you want to add anyone else to this list of some of your favorite attackers, please feel free to leave them in the comment section down below. But anyway guys, I hope you guys did enjoy. If you did enjoy, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. But for now, I'm going. So see ya.